Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're coming back, thank you for coming back, and if you're new, please like, comment, and subscribe. So today we're going to be in 2 Kings 7, and what happens in 2 Kings 7, Elisha, who is a prophet, as I said before, a prophet is somebody that the Lord speaks to for what he needs to speak to his people for. And the Lord spoke to Elijah and said, 6 quarter of flour will cost only 1 piece of silver. So basically saying that stuff's gonna be cheap and cheaper than like saying kind of like a penny for a gallon of gas. Like very cheap, and the king's like, no, that would never happen. And then now we're coming to the story. So there were 4 men with leprosy sitting at the entrance of the city. Why would we sit here waiting to die? Because there's a big famine going on right now. So think of how they are. Think about how they are so bad down in their health with leprosy. They're feeling so unhealthy, and there's this famine going around. So now they're just very starving, just like everybody else, but they're also down in their health. And then, so they're just basically sitting here thinking, if we sit here and starve, we'll die. And then let's go to. And if we go back there to the other king, which is Araman, we will go out and surrender. And if they let us live, or if they kill us, either way, we're going to die. Like, let's just see what we can get. And I feel like maybe sometimes not to that extreme, or it may be that extreme where it's like, I'll die if I do this. Like, if you have cancer, I'll die if I do the chemo. I'll die if I won't, either or. It's like, I'm eventually going to die from this. So it's like, which one do you choose? Or in feeling of hopelessness, and then also just maybe in a less severe situation of just either way I'm gonna go through a lot of pain. Either way, the path I go is just gonna be hard trials that I know for a fact are gonna come. Like, this is just either way, and it's a bad decision. Just which one do I want to go down? And how that can be very hard, and how a lot of people have to go through those everyday decisions of, do I move away? Do I not? Do I do this? Do I do that? Do I take this job? Do I not take this job? Do I date him? Do I not date him? Do I date this other guy? All these hard decisions that we have to make in everyday lives, and we can sometimes feel like we're just in a hard place. And then, so they go to the Armenian camp. Well, the Lord, and when we go into these things, the Lord is ahead of us. The Lord is ahead of us. He knows He's ahead of us. And when he is ahead of us in the situation that we're coming to, he is handling it and seeing what he can do in that situation. So for the Lord, he made the Armenian army hear clatter of speeding chariots and galloping of horses and the sound of a great army approaching. So they all left and scattered and ran because they were scared, they thought a great army was coming. So when the men with leprosies arrived, they went to the camp. The tents were open to eat and drink and clothes and all this stuff. So they're thinking they got it. They got food, they got water, or they got food, they got stuff to drink, they got clothes. They are just hit the jackpot, because remind you, it was a great big famine that was going around. So they were starving. It even says in the chapter for that, it just tells how they were paying for dove dung, which is dove poop, and eating sons, and just eating anything, because that's how big the famine was. So that's how much they were hungry, and they're down on their health. So it's like they are just feeling bad. It's like they just hit the jackpot, going from feeling of completely having nothing to now having something. They feel like they just hit it. And then they said, this is not right. This is a day of good news, and we aren't sharing it with anyone. So if we wait until morning, will certainly fall upon us. Come, let's go back and tell the people at the palace. So they're saying, we have hit this jackpot, and even though we're desperate for it, they really need it. They are going to go back and tell the people who is in better health, has more money, and is just doing better than them, but they're still going to go share to them what's going on, because there is a famine. Everybody else is hungry. And I think that's a really big thing for them to do, because I feel like for most people, when we're in this situation, like if I were to go and find $1 million, am I really going to split it with other people? You know, it's like, so that is a very powerful thing for them to finally have food, drink, clothes, and all this stuff become available. And now they're going to go back and share it with everybody. And then they go back and the king finds out and all the people come rushing in. And the king and his people, army of people, try and stop them and say, let's really, because they want to, you know, the king wants to get it and sell it and try and let's make money off of it. But the people just come in, bulldoze them down, and they get their stuff. And that's exactly how the Lord promises it's going to be so like nothing, like so cheap. So that is what happened in 2 Kings 7. And what I take about it is spreading good news and a feeling of hopelessness. I think that's a very powerful thing for them to go from somewhere so desperate, low in the chain, because when you're sick like that, you're very low in the chain back in those days. You're very low in the chain of whatever. So when they finally get that good news, they actually go and share it with people that are better off than them. And I think that's a very tough thing, because I think, like, say if there was a famine going around and I finally found food and all that, would I share that information with Bill Gates? Like, you know, I don't know if I could. Like, that'd be a very hard thing, because, like, I want it for myself. I want it just for me. I don't want to share it because I want to build, you know, thinking of me. But then think about how powerful it was, because now they've just let God's plan, because if they didn't share that, God's plan would have never been shared to the king and what Elisha was saying. But they were a part of God's plan, and God worked with 4 men with leprosy who are thought to be at the bottom of the food chain, and God ended up using them for his plans to be through. And I think that just shows when you do the right thing, your plan can be through. And I know they got a better reward, because I know they're up there living eternal life and doing and having the best reward you could ever receive up in heaven for their good deed of deciding to share the good news of what Jesus has used them for, to provide his plan and to help all these other people. So it's just, so I know if you're feeling hopeless, it's hard, but look at the better story in the long run. And Jesus is going to provide when he sees you doing those good deeds like that, of ended up finding those good deeds, because they expected just to come there and they didn't even know if they were going to die or live if they went over there. But they ended up being part of God's plan. So just do what is best. Do what is right. Do right by the people, even if it sometimes feel like maybe some of them haven't done right by them. Maybe some of them just passed them and never helped them with any time. But they did right by what they needed to do right. And God is going to use them. And he is going to reward them. So just keep doing what's right, because he will reward you for it in the long run. But so thank you guys for listening. Please like, comment, and subscribe.